Hello crafty friends, my name's Alicia, but you can call me Crafty Al, and welcome to my video for the March 2025 Oh So Inspired collaboration hop. I hope you'll stick around to see who inspired us this month, what I'm going to create, and if you're a channel member, find out about a special bonus for you. Welcome, or perhaps welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, you have stopped by for one of the most inspiring videos of the month. Myself and a team of talented creators get together each month on the 20th for the Oh So Inspired collaboration hop. Each month we are inspired by one of the artists on the team to create something new, and that original artist revamps their project in some way. I know that after seeing my video, you're going to want to check out everyone else's. To do that, you're going to want to check out the playlist that is linked in the description box below and also as an end card at the end of my video. That will be your one-stop shop to see all of the inspired pieces this month. I'm super excited to share that for March 2025, we are being inspired by Sarah Liz of Sassy's LLC. You can check out her YouTube channel and Instagram accounts linked down in the description box. And as you hop along today, you're going to see what the team has created, and we each chose probably a different inspiration piece. You might see us trying to totally recreate something she did, maybe taking a color palette or a layout. It's always a super fun time to see how each of us chose to be inspired. For my project today, I am being inspired by the card that is up on screen now. I love those bright, fun colors and that big, bold sentiment. Now heads up, if you are a channel member, I did make a bonus SVG cut file for a similar sentiment, so keep watching to see what it looks like and then find out at the end of the video how you're going to download it. As I get into the process, I will tell you about the products and tools that I'm going to be using, but as always, if I ever leave you with any questions, feel free to leave those down in that comment section below, and I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. Let's get crafty! The first thing I did for today's card was get out my cardstock swatch ring and match the colors as close as possible from Sarah Liz's original card. I loved this color combo so much I knew I would want to use it again, so I got out the Spellbinders color swatch wheel dies. I cut from some scraps each of the color cardstocks I chose for today's project, which if you check out the description box below, I do list them individually. This die set has become one of my favorites if you have color cube cards or like to keep track of color combos you see online. I would suggest checking it out. I do have an affiliate link down in the description box below if you want to do that. Now I'm going to start building that background. As the base, I cut a piece of paper from my recycle bin down to 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and then I cut some scraps of cardstock for the other pieces. The deep purple color, which will fill most of the background, I cut pieces that were about 6 inches by 2 inches, and then for the other colorful strips, these were 6 inches by about 1/4 inch tall. I'm going to start building that background by putting down the skinny strips first, and I'm going to start with the yellow because on Sarah Liz's card, that was the middle color of those 5 small strips. For all of these pieces, I am using liquid glue, so I have a little bit of wiggle time to get everything adjusted correctly. You'll want to make sure that each of your strips is right up against the previous one that you laid down. When I had the 5 middle pieces placed, instead of putting the adhesive on the back of the purple cardstock, I put it on the front of the printer paper. This way I won't put on too much glue and then adhere these down to my work surface. I let this dry under a heavy block for about 5 minutes. Once that had dried completely, it was time to cut off the excess. Now you could definitely use scissors for this, but I thought since there was quite a bit to trim off, I would just use my trimmer. Just like with Sarah Liz's original card, I wanted to add some embossing to this background. I didn't have the folder she did or one that would allow for a landscape card to be correctly embossed, so I brought in the cross-stitch embossing folder from Tailored Expressions. I just love the texture it gives. My plan was to do an oval opening like on the original card, but my biggest oval didn't really allow me to see as much of that background as I wanted, so I decided I would just use this piece as a mat. I cut down my cross-stitch piece to 5 inches wide by 3 3/4 inches tall and just adhered that black mat right behind it. I really love that "You Are Amazing" sentiment from Sarah Liz's original card, so I decided to create my own. Off camera, I cut a whole bunch on my silhouette. I tried to fill an 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and I also cut some vellum shadows. When I cut sentiments like this, 99% of the time I just use white cardstock because later I can go in with my inks and these cute little dauber brushes and make these any color that I want. For my card today, I decided to go ahead and just leave these white cardstock. That is also what Sarah Liz did with hers, and I thought the white stood out the best from that colorful background. I'm going to show you here on screen how I put one of these together. While this sentiment is in a few parts, because I'm putting it on the vellum shadow, it helps you get everything placed pretty near perfect as you can. All I do is get the liquid adhesive on the back, and that gives me some wiggle time to get each of the pieces adjusted so there's an even border or even vellum border around the outside of the sentiment. Now, while I finish this, I wanted to tell you how if you're a channel member, you can download the SVG and the PNG files to make some of these sentiments for yourself. A little bit later today, you'll want to check out the membership tab, which I have linked below, and look for the graphic that you see up on screen now. In the description box, it will have links to the SVG and PNG files for you to use for personal use. And if you're not yet a member and you would like access to these files, you can start membership as low as $1.99 a month. To find out more, click on the join button below this video or the link in the description box below. Not only will you have access to these cut files, but there are many other perks of membership. For today's card base, I grabbed a white one I already had pre-made in my stash, and I added the matted strippy piece to the front center of it. Now it's time to get the sentiment put in place. I played around a little bit with the angle and where I wanted it on the card front, and I decided to put it down in the lower right so you could see as much of the colors at the top as possible. I added this with liquid glue, trying to keep the adhesive behind where the white sentiment was on the front of the vellum, and then I put this in the lower right and gave it some time to dry. I was originally going to stop right here with my card, but I decided it needed a little something extra. So I looked back at Sarah Liz's card, and I liked how she had added some little hearts around her sentiment. Instead of hearts, I decided to use some star dies that I had in my stash, and I started by cutting 3. The largest one I put flat down on the card front, and for the 2 smaller ones, I added some foam tape to the back. Now it's not shown here, but I did decide to cut some even smaller stars, and I used one over the dot in Amazing and added another one down on the lower left. And here's a close-up look at the finished card. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I was inspired by Sarah Liz to create today's card. If you did, as always, a thumbs up is appreciated. Now don't forget to click on that playlist here in just a second to see what the rest of the team created. Until my next video, I hope you're all having a crafty day. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch all the way to the end of the video. I hope now you'll consider clicking on one of the videos or playlists I have linked above. And if you are interested in any of the products or tools I used in today's video, I do have some links in the description box below.